I took money that was not mine, and I shouldn't have done it. I hate the fact that I did it. I'm embarrassed by it, and I don't dispute that I did it.
But every single one of these, you had to sit down and look somebody in the eye and convince them that you were on their side when you were not, correct?
I mean, every time...
Answer my question, yes or no, and then you can explain. I'll let you explain all day long.
Well, I mean, no, sir, that may or may not be true. Okay. And Mr. Waters, just to try to get through this quicker, I admit...
I know you want to get through it quicker, but we're not. So answer the question, please.
We're talking about the guilty verdict in a high-profile double murder trial in a small southern town for disgraced lawyer Alex Murdaugh. Lonnie, let's talk about the appeal here. Clearly, they're going to appeal this, right?
Yes, they've already said they will.
And appeal, sometimes people think that appeal is they go in and kind of retry the case. That's not the deal. They go in and have to appeal points of law. Did the judge make errors?
Right.
In allowing something in that shouldn't have been in, not allowing something in that should have been in some way. I'm curious about all the financial testimony that came in about this, bringing in all of these cases where he had lied to clients and that sort of thing. Did that have an effect on you?
It did not.
It didn't have any effect
I
to work
didn't
on?
even know why they was having all that put up there.
Well, you know, sometimes if you can get a defendant to admit to bad deeds, but they're not actionable in that case, you know, he's admitting I did bad things, but they're not what he's being tried for. Sometimes the theory is that's a mea culpa, that a juror can say, well, he's sure being honest. He's admitting he cheated this person, cheated a quadriplegic out of over $1 million, which is, I mean, how bad can you be? That sometimes jurors will say, well, he's sure being hard on himself about all of that, so why wouldn't he admit if he did this? Did that have any effect on you guys at all?
I'm sure it did on some, but it didn't with me.
Not you? Lonnie, is that a point of appeal? They let too much stuff in?
Yes, and they've already said that's going to be a point of appeal. So essentially, like you said, the Court of Appeals will look at judicial errors. And usually all that evidence of financial crimes wouldn't be allowed in a murder case, right? But there are exceptions. For example, if the prosecution wants to use it to prove motive, like they were saying in their opening statement, they talked about this storm that was coming with all of these financial pressures and these things that he'd been doing for all these years and covering it up, and now all of a sudden it was going to come out in the open. So the judge said, yes, you can put this evidence in, and then the prosecution put in a ton of evidence. As Craig said, they went on and on for hours putting on this evidence. So the defense is going to say that ended up prejudicing the jury. It took their focus off what they should have been looking at, and they based somehow their determination of guilt based on these other things. But as Craig said, it really didn't affect them. And I think once he took the stand and presented himself the way he did and told the lies and had the credibility or not credibility that he presented there, I think everyone kind of forgot all the other stuff and really focused on what he was saying about the murder itself.
Yeah. Ben, do you think they put on too much financial information?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the door was opened by the defense. This is a case many thought like, oh my goodness, how could a man ever do this? And then you have to explain who the man is and what the motive was. But it was great to hear Craig say, no, we really didn't need it because the guy's a liar. We knew he was a liar. He lied to our faces. When it comes to the appeal, though, Dr. Phil, in cases where a defendant testifies, where he takes the stand, he or she, the success drops in half of any appeal. And we already know the numbers on criminal appeals are real low. So maybe about a 2% chance of winning an appeal when a defendant takes the stand.
This judge, Judge Newman, every time he made a ruling, he made a very clear record. He would say why he was ruling. He would lay out the case law for support, sort of supporting his decision. And Dr. Phil, I saw something happen in this trial I've never seen before in all my 20 years of being a prosecutor, and that was he would start citing the case precedent that supported his decision, and he'd say, in People versus such and such, I ruled this way, and then the Court of Appeals affirmed it. He's citing his own case law in a couple of cases, so that's quite a flex for a judge to be able to say, I'm supporting my own ruling with my own ruling.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.